everybody, Susan Storm here, and today we're going to be taking a look at INTJ intelligence. Are INTJs actually the masterminds that everybody else seems to make them out to be? Or is that just another MBTI stereotype floating around the internet like a bad personality meme? Today we're going to dive deep into the specific intelligence of the INTJ personality type. If you're not sure who I am, my name is Susan Storm, and I am a certified MBTI practitioner as well as the founder of a website called psychologyjunkie.com, where I have over 1,000 articles about the 16 personality types as well as the 9 Enneagram types. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Intelligence isn't reserved for just one or two types. And it comes in many forms. There's emotional intelligence, academic intelligence, creative intelligence, mathematical intelligence. So there's many different ways that your intelligence can show up, and certain personality types I also tend to perform better in tests versus others don't perform as well under that kind of pressure. Why are INTJs considered highly intelligent? Let's start with the hard data. According to the MBTI manual, which I have right here, I always have it at my desk, INTJs consistently score the highest when it comes to academic performance. In high school, they score higher than any other personality type when it comes to grades. And their IQ scores also rank the highest among the 16 personality types. When it comes to SATs, they're in the top 4. Basically, if INTJs had a trophy case for academic achievements, it would be full. But what exactly makes them excel in these areas? Part of their intelligence stems from their top 2 cognitive functions. Cognitive functions are essentially the mental tools you use when you have to make a decision or when you observe the world around you. They're the natural lens through which you understand the world around you. So the top 2 cognitive functions of the INTJ are Introverted Intuition, or NI for short, and Extraverted Thinking, or TE for short. Introverted intuition is like having an algorithm that's constantly scanning for patterns, predictions, and meanings. It's very capable of making high-level connections. INTJs don't just observe what is, they also try to narrow down the most likely possibility. They can synthesize a lot of information into one deep insight. INTJs are interested in symbols, they're interested in patterns, they're interested in meanings, they're interested in exploring beyond the surface, and this curiosity, this natural propensity for this kind of analysis often draws them to scientific exploration, creativity in writing, or even an interest in mathematics and understanding the formulas. Next, we have extroverted thinking, or TE for short. This is their auxiliary function, which basically supports the dominant function and helps round out the INTJ so that they're not just forming ideas and insights in their head, but they're actually putting those ideas to practice. Extroverted thinking is very much focused on action, on making something happen in the world around you. It's all about logic, efficiency, and structuring ideas into actionable plans. So INTJs don't just dream up brilliant ideas, they also try to find ways to bring them into fruition. Together, these functions create a powerhouse of strategy, problem solving, and insight that makes INTJs stand out. So let's talk a little bit about the INTJ learning style. INTJs and traditional education have kind of a love-hate relationship. On one hand, they're phenomenal learners, absorbing complex theories like a sponge and excelling in structured environments. On the other hand, they get extremely bored if the information isn't challenging enough, or if the environment they're in is a little too extroverted. Here's what INTJs need to learn effectively. Number 1, autonomy. INTJs hate being micromanaged. Give them freedom to learn in their own way, in their own space, without a lot of noise and commotion, and they will do much better. Force them to sit through a bunch of group projects and surface level discussions, expect some eye rolls and existential dread. Number 2, complexity. INTJs need a challenge, they need depth, they need novelty in what they're learning. If they feel like they're just regurgitating a bunch of facts, it'll be hard for them to really feel inspired. INTJs don't care as much about rote memorization and repetition as they care about a steep learning curve where they're constantly being challenged with new input. Number 3, INTJs need structure. They like organized learning systems with very clear goals and objectives. They tend to work very methodically. They like challenges. They like having a clear direction where they're going. A really chaotic, disorganized classroom can make them really frustrated, and it makes it hard for them to do their best work, especially if it's really noisy or the goals aren't clear. or the teacher's going off on a bunch of rabbit trails of unrelated thought instead of giving them a really clear direction of what they're looking for, a really good vision of what they're looking for. Number 4, INTJs need minimal distraction. INTJs tend to enter a hyper-focused flow state when they're curious about something, when they're researching something. Interrupt them, and you might as well be pulling a plug on their supercomputer mid-process. Another interesting fact about INTJs, they're one of the personality types that read the most books. The average American reads between 4 and 12 books a year, whereas INTJs on average read 31 books per year. That constant intake of knowledge fuels their ability to think critically and master complex subjects. Now let's talk about the INTJ brain. On the outside, they may look quiet, a little reserved and brooding, but on the inside, their mind is running like a 4D chess game. INTJs are always thinking. They're making predictions, running simulations, analyzing potential outcomes. They have these sudden aha moments where an entire strategy, theory, or concept just clicks into place. But their thinking style also comes with a few challenges. They can struggle with details. INTJs are big picture people. They're looking for the overarching meaning of something, but they're not as interested in getting into the really fine, nitty-gritty, concrete details. They can sometimes miss small, important specifics on their way to achieving these big goals. Number 2, they can be overly critical sometimes. Their minds are naturally wired to spot flaws and inefficiencies and logical gaps, which can make them excellent strategists, but accidentally struggle in conversations and relationships where people misinterpret that bluntness or that eye for inefficiency as just being a jerk. Number 3, they can sometimes struggle to explain their insights. Introverted processes are always a bit harder to verbalize on the outside, and introverted intuition is very complex and deep, but it's hard to find the right words to explain it in a way that anyone can understand. INTJs often just know something, but articulating exactly how they arrived at that conclusion can sometimes be a challenge for them. Dario Nardi, was a UCLA neuroscience professor and who has done a lot of research on the personality types and how they use their brain through EEG scans, wrote this book. It's called The Neuroscience of Personality. And one thing he said about introverted intuitive types, he said I types often show a whole brain Zen-like pattern. This pattern occurs when all regions of the neocortex are in sync and dominated by brainwaves that are medium-low frequency and very high amplitude. This pattern is typical of someone whose mind is awake yet relaxed. It shows as a solid bright blue on the EEG monitor and occurs for all personality types when they engage in their specific area of expertise. Yet NI types also show this pattern whenever they are tasked with the opposite, to tackle unfamiliar, novel problems. The NI types may easily show a Zen state when asked to envision the future. Close your eyes and imagine your life 10 years from now in as much detail as possible, focusing on what will occur. When tasked with this question, people of all types may show activity in region T6, which the book explains what all these different regions are and what they do. But NI types show activity in T6 but may easily enter the Zen state instead, the future, what could be more novel and unfamiliar. So I really recommend, if you are into type and you really want to know like all the nitty-gritty about it, getting this book, because it really is interesting that he shows brain scans of where the types show the most activity. And if you're interested in just the science of it all, it can be really helpful in satisfying that inner type geek that a lot of us have. So anyway, INTJs like a complex novel problem, and they like envisioning the future. The future is something that we can't fully comprehend. We don't know what's going to happen, and there is a definite curiosity about that and a desire to understand that. I've known so many INTJs who are kind of amateur futurists or who are into astronomy, science, philosophy, anything that can give them a greater understanding of what is to come. So now let's look at 3 famous INTJs who changed the world. First, there's Isaac Newton. He was the father of classical physics, calculus, and figuring out gravity while being hit by an apple. Although, actually, upon more research, I found out that he wasn't actually hit by an apple. That was just kind of a tall tale that was told about him. He was known as being very reclusive and introverted and aloof, but he was also a polymath, active as a mathematician, physicist, astronomer, alchemist, theologian, and even an author. He was a key figure of the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment that followed. Then we have Nikola Tesla, the inventor whose ideas were decades ahead of his time, including AC, electricity, wireless energy, and robotics. And then we have Ayn Rand. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. There's probably a better way to pronounce it, but that's how I always read it. She was a philosopher and writer who developed objectivism and modern libertarian thought with her books The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. These INTJs weren't just smart, they completely redefined how we think about science, technology, and philosophy. So are INTJs smart? Without a doubt, but their intelligence isn't just about IQ points or academic performance, it's about depth, strategy, and visionary thinking. They're not interested in what's already been done. They're here to innovate, challenge the norm, and build the future. So now that you've watched this, I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you an INTJ who relates to something I've said here, or do you have a different opinion? I would love to hear that, so make sure to leave me a comment. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more videos like this, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone!